You're thrown into a galactic gauntlet, a one-way tour of the most brutal planets in the 41st millennium. Your mission? Survive. Your chances? Let's be honest. They're almost zero. From the gang-infested underhives of Necromunda to the flesh-eating jungles of Katakan, we're about to calculate your horrifyingly short lifespan. So the real question is, how long would you survive? Welcome, spectators of the grim darkness, to the ultimate survival challenge. Forget deserted islands and zombie apocalypses. Those are holiday camps compared to what the 41st millennium has to offer. We're about to take a journey, a horrifying countdown of the worst places a simple, unprotected human could possibly end up. For each world, we'll drop you onto its surface and start a clock. We'll look at the environment, the locals, the very air you breathe, and figure out the most likely and almost certainly unpleasant way you'll meet your end. This isn't about heroism. It's about a brutal, unforgiving reality. There are no Space Marine saviors coming for you and no last-minute escapes. It's just you, your rapidly diminishing hope, and a universe that wants you dead. We'll be ranking these worlds in a countdown, from places where you might squeeze out a miserable existence for a few decades, to planets that will erase you from existence before you can even scream. So, take a deep breath. It's probably your last clean one. Our galactic gauntlet begins now. Section 1. The best case, a civilized world. Our countdown starts in what passes for paradise in the 41st millennium. A civilized world, let's say somewhere in Ultramar, the legendary home of the Ultramarines. From orbit, it looks almost peaceful. You've got cities with real architecture, fields growing crops you can recognize, and a sky that isn't permanently choked with black smoke. In this gauntlet of doom, you've just drawn the winning lottery ticket. Congratulations. You wake up, not in a radioactive crater or a monster's gut, but in a plain hab block in a fairly well-ordered city. The air is breathable, if a bit metallic. The water won't dissolve your insides. You can actually walk down a street without being immediately press-ganged into some flesh-pulping factory. So what's the catch? Why isn't this a happy ending? Well, the immediate threat here isn't the planet. It's the crushing weight of Imperial reality. Life is better, sure, but better is a desperately relative term. The average life expectancy in Ultramar, a realm that's considered a bastion of stability, is only about 35 years. This isn't because everyone just drops dead at 35. It's because the staggeringly high infant mortality rates drag the average down into the mud. If you survive being a kid, you might see old age. Might. Let's start the clock. You have a real chance here. Your first day is spent trying to navigate a bureaucracy that would make a servitor weep. You need papers, work permits, and a reason to exist that satisfies the local adeptus administratum. If you fail, you're a vagrant, and vagrancy leads to penal battalions. Best case, you find work. You become another cog in the vast, grinding machine of the Imperium. You'll work 16-hour shifts, eat bland nutrient paste, and your only entertainment will be state-sanctioned hymns to the God Emperor. Your lifespan isn't measured in minutes, but in the slow erosion of your spirit. You live under the constant, gnawing threat of something else. Ultramar is a jewel, and jewels attract thieves, orcs, tyranids, the forces of chaos. They all want a piece of Gilliman's perfect little empire. The Plague Wars ravaged these worlds. Hive Fleet Behemoth was stopped here, but not before it consumed entire planets. So your best-case scenario is a life of boring, repetitive work, punctuated by the very real possibility of an apocalyptic alien invasion. You won't be killed by the planet. You'll be killed on it when the sky splits open and creatures from your worst nightmares pour out. Survival. Clock. 35 years. A full if bleak life. You die of exhaustion, malnutrition, or as collateral damage in a war you have no stake in. You are the lucky one. Don't get used to it. Section 2. The grind, an Agri-World. You thought a life of toil on a civilized world was bad. Welcome to the next step down. We leave the relative comfort of Ultramar and head for the breadbasket of the Imperium, an Agri-World. The travel brochure might have promised rolling green fields and a life of honest, simple work. The brochure lied. You materialize not in a charming farmhouse, but in the middle of a continent-spanning crop. As far as the eye can see, there's nothing but kilometers of hissing, anemic-looking corn, swaying in a dusty wind that howls across a featureless landscape. The propaganda posters show happy farmers under a golden sun. The reality is you in a beat-up rad suit performing relentless, back-breaking labor from sunup to sundown. Let's start the clock. The immediate threat isn't a monster, it's the job. Agri-Worlds exist for one reason: to meet the imperial tithe. The Adeptus Administratum doesn't care about your well-being. It cares about quotas. Billions have to be fed, and you're the tool to make it happen. You're handed a thresher scythe and pointed at the horizon. That's your life now. You work until your muscles scream, powered by the same nutrient slurry you're helping to produce. The sun beats down, unfiltered by the toxic haze kicked up by massive industrial harvesters. The foremen are brutal, using shock mauls to enforce the work pace and executing slackers as an example. There are no weekends, no holidays. There is only the harvest. There's a saying among the workers here: you come for the soil, you end up part of it. It's not a metaphor. The dead are often recycled, their bodies tilled back into the very fields they worked. Transports arrive at Agri-Worlds full of hopeful workers. They always leave empty. Your best case scenario is that you're strong and don't cause trouble. You work hard, meet your quotas, and stay off the overseer's radar. You live in a communal hab, sleep for a few hours, and go right back to the fields. You'll do this every single day, for years. Your body will slowly break down. Your mind will go numb. You might live to see your late 30s, your face weathered and your back bent, before you finally collapse in the dust. Just another bit of fertilizer for the endless fields. Survival clock, approximately 35 years. Almost the same as a civilized world, but without any of the comforts. It's a slower, more monotonous death. A life spent as human farm equipment until you break and get thrown away. Section 3. The concrete jungle, a hive world. From the dust bowls of the Agri-Worlds, we now drop into the true heart of the Imperium's population, a hive world. Let's pick a classic, Necromunda. You don't arrive in a city, you arrive in a nightmare of metal and concrete. You're in the Underhive. You wake up in near total darkness. The air is a thick, toxic smog that stinks of recycled humanity. Kilometers of city spire are stacked above you, blotting out a sky you will never see. This is the foundation of the Hive, a maze of collapsed domes, rusted machinery, and forgotten ruins. Welcome home. The immediate threat is, well, everything. The gangs that rule this lawless land, the mutated creatures that hunt in the shadows, the hive quakes that can drop your home into a chasm, and the simple, gnawing reality of starvation. Let's start the clock, but it's ticking much, much faster now. Your first objective is to survive. and alone, you're dead. You need to join a gang. It's not a choice, it's a requirement. Gangers from House Orlok, Escher, Goliath, or a dozen others will give you protection in exchange for your life. You'll fight in brutal turf wars over scrap metal, old tech, or a working water still. Your weapons will be crude, your armor will be scavenged plates, and your life will be cheap. Your diet is corpse-starch, a lovely paste made from the recycled dead. Sometimes you might get lucky and find a rat to roast. Sometimes the thing you're eating might have been a rival ganger an hour ago. You learn not to ask questions. Disease is everywhere. A simple cut can fester and turn you into a shambling plague bearer. The only medicine is a swig of wild snake moonshine and a prayer. The most you can hope for is to rise in the ranks of your gang, which just makes you a bigger target. The idea of joining the local enforcers is a fantasy. The far more likely outcome is a bloody end in a dark tunnel. Your body picked clean by scavengers before it's sent to the corpse grinders. The typical lifespan down here is around 20 years. Most don't live to see 30. It's a life of constant, desperate violence. Survival, clock, 20 years. And that's if you're tough, lucky, and totally ruthless. Most newcomers last a few weeks. Your best case is becoming a feared ganger, only to be betrayed by your own crew for a handful of credits. Your death will be violent, anonymous, and meaningless to the billions who live above you. Section 4. The Soulless Machine, a Forge World. If you thought being a violent criminal was a bad career path, just wait. We are now in the domain of the Adeptus Mechanicus. Welcome to a Forge World. You appear in a landscape that has been scoured of all life. The sky is a permanent orange-black, choked with the exhaust of continent-sized factories. The ground is iron slag and chemical sludge. The only sound is the ceaseless, deafening clang of hammers and the hiss of plasma forges. In a world of perfect machinery, you are a biological contaminant. The immediate threat isn't being shot or eaten. It's being assessed. A tech priest, a grotesque fusion of man and machine, glides toward you. It doesn't see a person. It sees biological components. Are you useful? Your muscles are weak. Your brain is full of useless emotions. You are inefficient. You are raw material. Let's start the clock. There are 2 paths for you here, and neither of them involves what you'd call living. Path 1. You're deemed fit for labor. You're assigned to a factory working in conditions that make an underhive seem pleasant. You might polish artillery shells, exposed to toxic chemicals and deafening noise for 20 hours a day. One mistake, one failure to meet a quota, and you're moved to Path 2. Path 2 is the fate that defines the horror of a forge world, servitude in perpetuus. You are dragged to a conversion chamber. Your personality, your memories, your soul, all brutally scrubbed from your mind. Your limbs are amputated and replaced with tools, drills, claws, welding torches. Your brain is hardwired with a single set of instructions. You are no longer a person. You are a servitor. A servitor doesn't survive. It functions. It will perform its task without thought or feeling until its biological parts fail. This could be decades. It could be centuries. You will toil endlessly, a ghost in a machine made of your own flesh. Your service ending only when your heart gives out and you're melted down for biomass. The best case scenario? You die during the conversion process. It's a quicker end than the eternity of mindless labor that awaits. You have no hope of escape. The tech priests see flesh as a temporary problem, and yours is about to be permanently solved. Survival clock. Indefinite. As a servitor. Your life as a thinking, feeling human ends within your first hour. From then on, you're just an organic appliance, a fate many would consider far worse than death. Section 5. The collateral damage. A night world. After the cold, mechanical hell of a forge world, our next stop seems almost nice. Welcome to a night world. The sky is blue, there are trees, and the air is clean. You materialize in a green field, and in the distance, you can see the spires of a castle. It feels like you've stepped back in time. You've actually stepped into a feudal society, a bizarre mix of medieval life and hyper-advanced technology. Society is split into two classes: the nobles who pilot the towering knight war mechs, and you, the serfs. Let's start the clock. The immediate threat isn't the environment, it's the social structure. Your life isn't your own. You belong to the land, and the land belongs to a noble house. You'll work the fields, tend herds of giant reptile cows, or serve in the castle. Your whole existence is dedicated to supporting the warrior aristocracy. Compared to a hive world, it's not so bad. You eat real food, you can see the stars, and you might even die of old age. But your life is completely at the mercy of your lords. The real danger of a night world is that you're living on a military asset. Those knights aren't just for show. The noble houses are constantly fighting each other over honor, land, and ancient grudges. When they go to war, their giant metal feet don't exactly distinguish between enemy soldiers and the serfs working in the fields. You are collateral damage waiting to happen. These worlds are also prime targets. A planet with a legion of knights is a prize for any invader. Orcs, chaos, even other imperial factions, they'll all come to test their strength. And when the battle begins, your village becomes the battlefield. Your best case is that your ruling house is pretty chill and doesn't start wars. You live the life of a medieval peasant, working hard and dying from a preventable disease in your 40s or 50s. It's a harsh, short life, but one with a sense of community. The worst-case scenario is much more likely. Your lord picks a fight with a neighbor. Two 50-foot-tall war machines start dueling across your farmlands, their cannons turning your entire life into a crater of molten earth. Or an orc wag arrives and you're simply crushed underfoot before you even know what's happening. Survival clock, 40 to 50 years. But that comes with an asterisk the size of a night suit. This lifespan is entirely dependent on you not being in the way when the big boys start their game. Your death will likely be sudden, explosive, and completely accidental. You arrive in a city that's more cathedral than anything else. Every building is covered in Gothic arches, gargoyles of imperial saints, and kilometer-high statues of the God Emperor. The air hums with the sound of billions of people chanting prayers. Pilgrims from across the galaxy crowd the streets, their faces a mix of ecstatic joy and desperate hope. The true horror of a shrine world is how utterly insignificant you are. It's said that on any shrine world, the dead outnumber the living 1,000 to 1. Their bones are literally mixed into the mortar of the cathedrals. You're just another body, another voice in a choir of trillions. Your only purpose to add to the psychic background noise of worship. There's no career here besides serving the church. You might become a menial who polishes golden icons. You might join a prayer gang, chanting for days without food or water until you collapse. If you're unlucky, you might attract the attention of a redemptionist cult, zealots who see sin everywhere and purify it with fire. One misplaced word could get you declared a heretic and burned on a pyre to entertain the masses. Survival clock, 50 to 60 years. potentially one of the longest lifespans on our list. But it's a life without a self, a complete submission to a brutal creed. You survive by becoming nothing. Before we descend into pure hell, a quick word. If you're enjoying this tour of galactic misery, consider supporting the channel via the links in the description. Your support helps us keep exploring the darkest corners of the 41st millennium. All right, brace yourselves. The kid gloves are off. We now arrive on a world whose very name means apocalyptic war, Armageddon. Once a productive hive and industrial world, it is now something else entirely, a permanent planet-wide war zone. Welcome to the second and third wars for Armageddon, a conflict that technically ended, but in reality, never stopped. Let's start the clock. The immediate threat is obvious. You've been dropped into a battle between the Armageddon Steel Legion and an endless green tide of orcs. The orcs see this planet as their heaven, a paradise of endless fighting, and they will never, ever leave. But let's say you're lucky. Incredibly lucky. You find cover in a blasted ruin as the battle flows past you. What now? You're in a wasteland of scrap metal and craters. The hives are fortified garrisons, and you don't have the clearance to get in. The wilderness is crawling with orc hunting parties. Your only hope is to be found by an Imperial patrol and not be shot on sight as a potential traitor. If they do pick you up, you're not going to safety. You'll be given a laser gun, a helmet that doesn't fit, and a spot on the front line. You are now a conscript in the Steel Legion, a job with a life expectancy measured in hours. You'll be sent on suicide missions, used as cannon fodder to slow down an orc charge or ordered to hold a trench that will be overrun by morning. Your best case scenario is a fantasy. There is no best case. You might survive your first encounter. You might even survive your first day. But you will not survive the week. The war is eternal. The planet is a slaughterhouse. You thought a perpetual battlefield was the worst it could get? You were wrong. Our next stop makes Armageddon look like a garden party. We are going to the death world of Krieg. The first thing you notice is that you are already dying. You materialize on the surface, and the air itself is radioactive poison. For 1,500 years, this world was locked in a civil war that only ended when loyalists launched a full-scale atomic bombing on their own planet. They turned their home into a scorched, radioactive husk just to deny it to the enemy. Let's start the clock, but it's just a formality. Without a fully sealed hazard suit and a military-grade rebreather, your body is being flash-cooked by radiation. Your skin is blistering, your lungs are burning, your cells are coming apart. The landscape is a monotonous hell of mud, trenches and craters under a sky that has never seen the sun. The entire population lives in underground cities, having abandoned the toxic surface long ago. The only people who walk up here are the members of the Death Corps of Krieg, the most fatalistic soldiers in the Imperium. And they're only here to train in the lethal environment they call home. If a Death Corps patrol finds you, they won't help you. They'll just see you as another casualty. They might even grant you the Emperor's mercy with a single last shot, which is a far better fate than dying of radiation sickness. They don't even use names, just numbers, because it makes counting the dead easier. There's no wildlife to eat you. There are no rival gangs to fight. There is just the planet itself, a monument to humanity's ability to destroy itself. The threat is absolute and environmental. You can't fight it. You can't hide from it. Your best case scenario doesn't exist. You've been dropped onto a world that was deliberately turned into a planetary microwave oven. Survival clock, 45 seconds. Just long enough for your nervous system to register the searing pain before your organs begin to liquefy. Section 9. The living hell, Katakan. From a world killed by man, we now journey to a world that was born to kill. This is the place that even gives Space Marines pause. Welcome to the death world of Katakan. From orbit, it looks lush and vibrant, a green paradise. This is the deadliest lie in the galaxy. You materialize in a jungle so dense that light barely filters through the canopy. The air is hot, wet, and teeming with life. And every single piece of that life wants to kill you. Let's start the clock. You're dead. You just don't know what's going to get you first. Is it the plants? Every plant here is a killer. There's the barbed venom gorse, which snakes towards movement and injects a fatal neurotoxin. There's the brain leaf, whose leaves fly off, burrow into your brain, and turn you into a mindless zombie that protects the parent tree. Even a scratch from a thorn can be fatal, as flesh-eating bacteria swarm into the wound and make you rot in minutes. Or maybe it's the animals. You might hear a twig snap and turn to see a Katakan devil, a massive insect-like predator with jaws that can bite a tank in half. You might not hear the barking toad, an amphibian whose explosive detonation can kill everything within a kilometer. Or maybe you'll run into the Katakan face-eater, a creature whose name is horrifyingly literal. The very air is your enemy. Certain pollens will corrode your air filter, let alone your lungs. The water is full of brain-eating amoebas. The ground itself can be a trap, with plants that poison the earth to create quicksand-like bogs to catch their prey. The humans who live here, the Katakan jungle fighters, are some of the toughest people in the galaxy. If you meet one, they won't see you as a person. They'll see you as bait. Your best case scenario is that you die quickly. A Katakan devil is a good option. At least it'll be fast. A much worse fate is to be paralyzed by a plant and slowly dissolved over several agonizing days. Survival clock, 5 minutes. A generous estimate. More than enough time for you to be poisoned by the air, eaten by a plant, devoured by an animal, or dissolved by a fungus. In the jungle of Katakan, you are not at the top of the food chain. You are the free sample. Section 10. The Great Devourer, a tyrannid-infested world. The horrors we've faced so far have been products of their environment. But what if the horror is the environment? What if the entire planet is being actively, systematically eaten? Welcome to a world in the process of being consumed by the tyrannids. You appear on a world in the final stages of a tyrannid invasion. The sky is dark, blotted out by spore chimneys pumping a toxic fog into the atmosphere to pre-digest the planet. The ground is covered in a pulsating alien biomass. The native life has been twisted into hostile new forms. This isn't a planet anymore. It's a dinner plate. Let's start the clock. The tyrannid invasion is a process, a horrifyingly efficient biological assembly line of death. By the time you arrive, all resistance has been crushed. The only sounds are the chittering of trillions of aliens and the screams of the harvested. Your immediate threat is a Ripper swarm. These are small worm-like creatures with giant mouths, and they move across the land in a living tide. They are the primary consumers, swarming over anything organic and tearing it to shreds with razor-sharp teeth. They will strip you to the bone in seconds. But even if you manage to find high ground, you're not safe. Genestealers lurk in the shadows, ready to implant you with their DNA. Lictors, perfectly camouflaged, hunt the last few survivors. Carnifexes, living tanks, demolish any structure you might try to hide in. The entire ecosystem is controlled by the hive mind, a single hungry intelligence whose only desire is to consume. The hive mind doesn't see you as a threat. It doesn't see you as anything but a few grams of protein and calcium. You are biomass, nothing more. The tyrannids will consume everything. They drink the oceans, inhale the atmosphere, and devour every scrap of organic matter until only a barren, lifeless rock is left. Your best-case scenario is a headshot from a termagant's flesh borer. It's an instant death. The alternative is being captured alive and thrown into a digestion pool, where you'll be slowly and consciously broken down into a genetic slurry to be reabsorbed by the hive fleet. Survival clock, 90 seconds. Long enough to see the tide of rippers, understand how futile your situation is, and then be reduced to a red smear on the pulsating ground. Section 11, The Silent Awakening, a Necron tomb world. For 60 million years, this planet was silent, a dead world of strange metal and eerie green light. The Imperium charted it as barren and lifeless. The Imperium was wrong. You have arrived on a Necron tomb world just as it's beginning to wake up. You materialize in a vast, cavernous chamber. The walls are made of living metal that shifts in impossible ways. The silence is absolute, unnervingly perfect. Rows and rows of metallic skeletal warriors stand dormant in alcoves. As you watch, their single green eye lenses begin to glow. Let's start the clock. The threat here isn't malice or hunger or even hatred, it's pest control. The Necrons are ancient beyond human understanding, and they see all organic life as a messy infestation that needs to be cleansed. You are a germ in their sterile home, and they are about to sterilize it. Your death will be efficient, impersonal, and absolute. The moment the tomb's automated systems detect your organic presence, a response is triggered. There's no challenge, no roar of anger, just the silent, unstoppable activation of a galaxy-ending extermination protocol. The most likely thing to kill you is a squad of Necron warriors. They'll march towards you, their movements jerky and unnatural. Their Gauss flares will fire. These weapons don't shoot bullets or lasers. They shoot a stream of energy that unmakes matter at a molecular level. It strips you away layer by layer, atom by atom. There's no wound, no blood. You are simply Dussel Tool, unwritten from reality. There's no hiding. The tomb itself is alive and reports your position. There's no fighting back. You're a caveman with a stick facing a god. Your termination will be handled by the tomb's automated defenses. Your best case scenario is that the first Gauss blast hits you in the head, and you're gone before your brain can even register what happened. Any other hit means you get to experience the horrifying sensation of being systematically disassembled while you are still conscious. Survival. Clock. 10 seconds. The time it takes for the nearest Necron patrol to lock on and pull the trigger. You will not die. You will simply cease to have ever existed. Section 12. The Impossible Nightmare. A demon world. We've reached the second to last stop on our tour. We have left the material universe entirely. Welcome to a demon world, a planet that has been dragged into the warp and remade by nightmares. You arrive and your senses immediately shatter. The laws of physics don't apply here. The ground might be made of screaming faces. The rivers might flow with boiling blood. And the sky is a swirling vortex of madness. This world is a living extension of the will of whatever demon prince or chaos god rules it. Let's start the clock. But the clock is meaningless. Time isn't linear here. Your death might happen in an instant, or it might be stretched out over an eternity of suffering. The immediate threat is your own sanity. The raw, unfiltered chaos of this place is enough to break a mortal mind. But your mind is the least of your worries. Your body is also forfeit. If this is a world of Horn, the blood god, you'll be torn apart by demons and your skull will be added to his throne. If it's a world of Nurgle, the lord of plague, your body will become a vessel for every disease imaginable, bloating and mutating into a walking plague bomb. If it's a world of Slanesh, the prince of pleasure and pain, you will experience an eternity of the most exquisite torture. And if it's a world of Tsinch, the changer of ways, your body will twist and mutate into some new, horrifying form. The mortal people on these worlds aren't people. They're playthings. They're used as cannon fodder, sacrificed in rituals or kept around for entertainment. Your best-case scenario is to die of fright the second you arrive. A massive heart attack would be a mercy. It would save you from having your soul flayed from your body and turned into a banner, or your flesh sculpted into a living statue in a garden of agony. Survival clock. Instant damnation. You don't survive on a demon world. The moment you enter, your physical body is irrelevant. Your soul is what matters, and it is already lost. Your end is not measured in time, but in eternal suffering. Section 13, the Dark City, Komorra. You thought a demon world was the end? You poor, naive fool. There is one fate worse than having your soul devoured by a demon. There is one place where death isn't the end, but a luxury you will be denied for millennia. Our final destination isn't a planet. It's a parasitic city hidden in the labyrinth of the webway. Welcome to Komorra, the dark city of the Drukhari. You weren't dropped here. You were taken. You wake up in a cage, surrounded by the cheers of 1,000,000 cruel aliens. You are not here to be killed. You are here to be entertainment. The Drukhari, or Dark Eldar, are a race that feeds on pain. Their own souls are constantly draining away, and only by inflicting the most extreme suffering on others can they replenish themselves. You are not food. You are a fine wine, to be savored. Let's start the clock. There is no clock. Time here is just a vessel for more pain. Your survival is the entire point. The Drukhari are masters of torture. They can kill you, and then bring you back to life, again and again, your mind fully intact to experience every single moment. You'll be thrown into gladiator arenas to fight impossible beasts for the crowd's amusement. You'll be handed over to a homunculus, a flesh sculptor who will remake your body into a grotesque work of living art. They will keep you alive for centuries, for millennia, a screaming testament to their skill. Your only value is the intensity of your suffering. There is no escape. The city is a maze outside of normal reality. There is no hope. Your captors are immortal, and they have nothing but time to practice their craft. Your best-case scenario is a cruel joke. Perhaps after 1,000 years of non-stop agony, your mind finally shatters so completely that you are no longer interesting, and they discard your husk. This is the absolute bottom. It is a fate that makes every other horror on this list seem like a pleasant dream. It is survival, but a form of survival so monstrous that death becomes the most beautiful, unattainable prize in the universe. Survival clock. An eternity of agony. Your life is over. Your suffering has just begun. Conclusion. And so, our tour ends. From the bleak stability of Ultramar to the endless torture pits of Komorra, we have seen the many ways the 41st millennium can destroy a single human life. The truth is, survival is a statistical anomaly in this galaxy. The universe isn't just indifferent to you. It is actively, malevolently hostile. You can be worked to death, eaten by monsters, vaporized by aliens, erased by radiation, or kept as a pet by beings made of pure suffering. The question was never really, how long would you survive? The real question is, in a universe so completely drenched in horror, would you even want to? Let me know in the comments which of these worlds you think is the absolute worst, or if there's a planet of damnation we missed. Which miserable fate do you think you'd last the longest against? And if you haven't already, subscribe for more journeys into the grim darkness. The Emperor protects, but on most of these worlds, he's not looking your way.